Okay, guys, here we go. Day 2, probability with and or. I'll try to keep this video much shorter than day 1. That got away from me a little bit. We won't do every question. All right. Hi, honey. Oh, the doggy's so cute. Okay, so Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is a drawing in which circular areas represent sets of data sharing common properties. The drawing consists of 2 or more circles, each representing a specific set. Okay, so on the smart board, we were able to move these pieces over here, but yeah, this is not the smart board, so we're not going to be able to do that, so I'm just going to write them in. Okay, so this like lavender blue section represents A only. This yellow section here is B only. And the overlap section is both. And then out here is going to be in neither set. And if I wanted to know like how much was in set A, it would be the entire circle. You would add up those amounts. And if I wanted to know what was in B, we would add up those amounts. Now we have names for when we use the word and meaning both. So this section right in here, we use this symbol right here. And it's easy to memorize that symbol that's and for both, because if you take it, you can turn it into an A. So that's how I always remember it, that it's and. That's the intersection. If I was in front of you right now, I would be taking my hands and I would be like interlocking my fingers. It's both and together. All right, the other one is or. So if we're looking at what's in A or B, then it's the union of the two. So it would be everything all together. So if I wanted to know what was in A or B, it would be this amount, plus this amount, plus this amount. And the symbol used for or is a U for union. So let's try doing a question. Okay, answer the following questions based on the accompanying diagram. All right, so the first thing I'd like to do, though, before we even start any of the questions is I'd like you to see how many are in basketball altogether. To figure out how many in basketball altogether, we add up 54 and 18. So there's 72 altogether. Yeah, this isn't going so well today here. 72. Okay, let's just erase that and try to do a 72 again. Okay, 72. Jeez. Gosh. All right, so 72 for basketball. How many are for lacrosse? Add up the 18 and the 63, and we have 81 for lacrosse. Okay, so 72 for basketball, 81 for lacrosse. Okay, now let's answer. So how many play basketball? We just calculated that. It's 72. It'd be 54 plus 18. How many play lacrosse only? So that would be 63, right? That's in this piece. That's the only section of lacrosse. How many play both? That would be my middle value, the overlapping. How many play neither? That's the 27 out there, all by itself. Now this is important, the total. The total. When we want to find the total, it's the number out here plus these 3. That gives me the total amount. So you want to remember that. So my total amount is 162. Now let's do some probabilities with this. So if I want to do probabilities, and I want to find the probability, it says if one student is selected at random, I would be looking at the bottom number being 162. I'm going to use this as my fraction bar. So 162 would go on the bottom. And now how many are lacrosse altogether? So that would be 81. So 81 out of 162. Basketball only, again, 162 is the bottom number. Basketball only would be the 54. And now, probability of basketball or lacrosse. All right, so this is where we have to be careful here. So let's look down at this little box I have for you here. So it says, what is the equation, probability of A or B? Or why is the equation probability of A or B equals the probability of A plus the probability of B not true? And how could we modify it to make it true? So let's just go back up top and take a look. So if I want to know why this isn't true. Well, if I take the probability of A, 54 plus 18, and then 63 plus 18, didn't I count the 18 twice? So therefore, the formula looks like this. Oh, but that's too big. The probability of A or B is equal to, you do add up the two probabilities, so the probability of A plus the probability of B, but then you have to subtract off the probability of both, which is A and B. Okay, so that's an important formula that we need to know. So now we can do this problem. Let me make more room. All right, so the probability of basketball or lacrosse. Okay, basketball or lacrosse. All right, so we'll do probability of basketball or lacrosse. So it'll be the probability of basketball plus the probability of lacrosse minus the probability of basketball and lacrosse. Okay, so probability of basketball is 72 over 162. Probability of lacrosse is 81 over 162 minus the probability of both. And we're left with 135 out of 162. Okay, so that's an important formula to know. Again, the probability of or. If we were in class, I would be saying over and over again that as soon as you see or, you're going to put plus minus. Okay, so as soon as we see or, we put plus minus. All right, so we're not doing all the questions in this packet. I want you just to get the whole gist of it. We don't need to do a million questions. So we're going to jump to number 4. Okay, and just see how we can use this formula in different types of questions. All right, so it says, given events A and B such that the probability of A, I like to take the information out on the side with the big marker. So the probability of A is equal to 0.7. The probability of B is equal to 0.5. And I want to, probability. Now that's A union B, so that's or. And I want to find the probability of A and B. Right, that's the one I want to find, so I'll name X on that. And again, this is and right here. That's both. And this one is or. Okay, so let's write our formula out. So the probability of A or B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B. Probability of A is 0.7. Probability of B is 0.5 minus the probability of X. That's one we don't know, and the or is 0.8. Okay, so we just do some simple calculations here. So 0.8 is equal to, add these up in your calculator. We're trying to solve for X, so I'll subtract 1.2. And we're left with 0.4. Well, technically, okay, so negative 0.4 equals negative X, but now just divide through by a negative. So 0.4 equals X. So the probability of A and B is equal to 0.4. So that's just a little application of using the formula. Okay, just write the information on the side and replace it. All right, so here's an application. This is very common on the Regents. So let's read it first. It says, Suburban High School has a population of 1376. So to me, that seems like a total amount right there, right? The number of students who participate in sports is 649. The number of students who participate in music is 433. If the probability, all right, so probability, we've got a fraction here. It says the probability the student participates in sports or music is 974 over 1376. What is the probability that a student participates in both? So that's my and. All right, so let's take whatever information we have out on the side. So the number of students participate in sports. So the probability of sports is going to be 649 over 1376. The probability somebody participates in music is 433 over 1376. And then they gave me the probability of sports or music, 974 over 1376. And I want to find the probability of sports and music. So extremely similar to the question that we just did. So let's just write the formula down. I'll use words this time instead of symbols. So the probability of, I like to always write the real formula first. So A probability of A or B, or is going to be plus minus. So the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B. And then we could change this over to sports and music if you want. Probability of sports or music is equal to the probability of sports plus the probability of music minus the probability of sports and music. Okay, so pull your information right from the side. And you're just going to use a calculator to solve the equation. Okay, so we got 974 over 1376 is equal to 1082 over 1376 minus x, just like the other question we did. Let me make a little more room. So subtract, right? You want to get x by itself. And just like the previous one, we get negative 108 over 1376 equals negative x. So therefore 108 over 1376, right, is going to be my probability of sports. And this was sports and music, right? I see that I put a B here. That's an M. Okay, and there we go. That's it. Very typical popular question right there. Okay, and let's skip to 7. And 7 looks like, 7 looks like it's going to be the same thing again. So I'll just set it up with you, and then you guys can go ahead and do it. It says a student chosen at random from the student body is at a given high school. The probability that a student selects math, so probability of math is 1/4. The probability that they're a junior is 116 over 459. If the probability that a student selected is a junior or loves math, so probability junior or math is 47 over 108. Then what is the probability that a student selected is a junior whose favorite subject is math? So junior whose favorite subject is math, that's going to be my probability of junior and math. Okay, and that's the one you guys want to solve. I'll just set it up and put the answer, and then you can do it yourself. Okay, so 31 over 459 is what it comes out to be. Okay, and last thing. So I want to do one with one of those Venn diagrams. So there is a formula which does make sense. It says the probability of A happening or B happening, or neither, always has to equal 1 or 100%. And go back to that question with the lacrosse and basketball. So if I ask you guys to raise your hands right now, like who plays basketball, who plays lacrosse, like is everybody in the class raising their hands? Probably not. So I would have to include the neither as well. And what's interesting here also is because maybe there's some of you out there that play both, right? So remember, or is plus minus. I would have to subtract off if some people raise their hand twice. Okay, so you can use that formula to do number 8, but I'm going to do it with a Venn diagram instead because we haven't done any questions using a Venn diagram. We've only done them with a formula. Okay, so it says a history class can attend a museum or a movie for extra points. All right, so I'm going to let this circle be the museum, and I'm going to let this circle be the movies. Okay, so it says 40% attend the museum. So I'm just going to write 40, but this does represent a percentage. 55% attend the movie. And 10% attend neither. So how many attend both? So I want to know this inner circle number right here. Well, let's think logically here. If I add up 10 plus 40 plus 55, and these are all percentages, those percentages add up to 105%. So how can 105% of the class do this? They can't. So that means that there must have been an overlap right here, right, of 5%. Everybody see that? Now, what if I want to know what looking at this circle? The whole circle is supposed to be 40, and I already have 5 of it right there. So shouldn't 35% go here? And we could do the same thing for this other circle. This whole circle is supposed to be 55. I already have 5 of it, so this part must be 50. But we didn't even have to do all of that work, but we can see now that 5% is who attended both. And then remember just to reinforce what I told you before, if I wanted to know total number, this plus this plus this plus this always give me my total. So that should add to 100%. And it does. All right, last one. We'll just do it with a Venn diagram again. Oh boy. Wrong one there. Okay, if a class of 50 students, so that's my total, 18 take chorus, so I'll let this be chorus, 26 take band, and 2 take both. How many students in the class are not enrolled in either, probably supposed to say. So I want this number right here. Well, let's see. This whole circle is 18. I have 2 of it, so this must be 16. This whole circle is 26. I have 2 of it, so this must be 24. And now we'll let this be X. And then remember what I said, just a second ago. This plus this plus this plus this give me my total. So it's X. Oh, goodness. Okay. So it's X plus 16 plus 2 plus 24, and I know what the total is. The total is 50. So I get X plus 36 equals 50. I'll go up here, so we get X is 14. Okay? All right, guys, so that was day 2, and I think I'm just going to give you no homework for this one, and you could just rewatch the video, okay? Make sure you really understand this. These are super duper important questions. All right, and remember, or means plus minus. All right, bye.